What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now in part 3 of this segment, we'll take a look at some of the counters the Pacers have thrown at the Knicks when dealing with Jalen Brunson, and also some of the inner nuances to this series as the Pacers bench returned from a one-game absence with their uptake in scoring, along with Tyrese Haliburton finally getting comfortable and showing more aggression in this series. But with Thibs not having as many bodies on hand and going to that 4-guard, 1-center lineup, it created new dynamics that didn't really play out in the favor for the Knicks, but yet still in the fourth quarter, it came down to their execution as they were still in a position to win this game. But I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
Alcohol, right?
So to start off the matchup, the Knicks in typical fashion got off to a slow start. I don't know why that's been a thing of ours throughout the postseason, but it is. And for the Pacers, they finally got sick of Jalen Brunson just cooking them hard. So they finally made the switch to Naismith. And boy, was he harassing Jalen Brunson really early on. Brunson was hobbled in a few plays due to the physicality of Naismith, which caused Jalen Brunson to get subbed out within the first 5 minutes of the game. And in that time frame without him, the Knicks were able to maintain the score. Precious was added into the starting lineup in place of OG and provided great rebounding on the offense and defensive end. But this wasn't something Thibs ended up sticking with for that long because eventually he made the switch in the fourth quarter, choosing to play 4 guards and Hartenstein. But eventually the Knicks giving up size will become their Achilles heel. And Tyrese Haliburton finally put the pedal to the metal, and he was more assertive, much more aggressive than he was in game 1 and 2, as the Pacers in this game really didn't get the same contributions that they seen from the bench in the previous 2 games. So unlike the first 2 previous games, Jalen Brunson now is stuck on Naismith instead of Nembhard. And just off ball, we see the physicality that Nembhard is already presenting, and very uncharacteristic of Jalen, just having 3 turnovers in the first quarter. And turnovers against a Pacer team like this that thrives off of transitional points. Ball security is very important in this series. Now, very early on, to deal with that physicality, we see the Knicks do something right here that they have done in games 3 and 4 against the 76ers when dealing with Kelly Oubre and Nick Batum just bothering Jalen Brunson. They start off the ball screens from way up top, and just having Brunson having their center backpedal, they're going to be able to create off of any type of collapse. As we're going to see Precious right here, going to draw the foul. Now with Naismith being one of their better physical perimeter defenders, we're going to see Donte. He's going to have to be the one to exploit guys like Tyrese right here when dealing with some of the attention that Brunson draws, as we're going to see Donte catch Haliburton on the backdoor, but just not able to finish. But the off-ball movements of DiVincenzo and Josh Hart will be very vital to the Knicks offense for the rest of this series. Hartenstein right here again in sync with Brunson, giving him multiple options. Once again, the screen right here catches Naismith, but the physicality, man, Naismith could fight through these. Once again, he's one of the Pacers' stronger perimeter defenders as he's still able to contest Brunson's shot. Very early on, you could tell Brunson's lift wasn't really quite there, and it might have been because of his play earlier. As you could see from the way Naismith occupied his landing zone, he might have tweaked that right foot. But again, Brunson had a very uncharacteristic first quarter with 3 turnovers. So Jalen Brunson in this possession gets a little cross action, gets TJ McConnell on the switch, and as soon as Naismith blitzes right here, very uncharacteristic from Brunson on this bounce pass. So when Jericho Sims subbed in, I like how the Knicks kind of went to a guard-to-guard screen with Donte and Brunson instead of calling for the big man, which was Hartenstein before the sub, to set that initial ball screen. But with the guard-to-guard screens, they were able to get good 3-point shots off of it. As right here with Donte, he's able to knock down a 3 off of the attention from Jalen Brunson. Right here, we see a prime example of some of that lift that Jalen Brunson had, or the lack of it, after that awkward landing. He really didn't look like his old self. Yeah, a lot of the shots were short throughout this game. That's usually a tall tale sign. Right here's another prime example of just Brunson dealing with the physicality, not necessarily having the strong enough footwork that we're normally seeing him have, and it leads to another uncharacteristic turnover. Brunson right here off this screen, he's going to catch Naismith hanging on his hip, and he's able to draw the foul right here. Lots of physicality. But the refs throughout this game was really letting them play. Lots of touching, lots of grabbing, lots of physicality. But it is the playoffs. These things are to be expected. Now, when Naismith gets a breather, we're going to see Brunson make easy work of Nembhard as he gets the N1 to fall. Easy money. Just all series long, they really haven't had an answer when Nembhard, Haliburton, and Shepherd is all on the floor at the same time. So right here with Naismith all over Brunson, we're going to see Burks actually come in and try to get a switch. Haliburton hedges a little bit. But this is where the chemistry between Hartenstein and Brunson really comes in. Burks, in a way, he should have ghosted. That way Brunson could have just gave him the bounce pass. But Haliburton so bad does not even want to be switched on Brunson. Right here with the hedge, it's going to allow Naismith to recover perfectly. And nothing really happens off this switch. Now Burks rolling doesn't really mean as much. Had he ghosted this screen and just acted like he was going to go in, as soon as he saw the hedge, come right back out, Brunson would have hit him with a bounce pass. And then with everyone else collapsing, they could have made something else happen. Or if no one here collapsed, he could have just came in and just hit a nice little floater, something. But this right here shows you the importance of Hartenstein being in this role, because him and Brunson all season have been in sync. Now right here, you can see Josh Hart pointing, telling Precious to get in position. It's going to be a double screen. But as they begin to line this up, we're going to take a look at the corner shooters. Donte has been killing throughout this series. But with Burks right here, I'm wondering if the respect level is going to be as high. Because had this been OG, they're going to have to respect it off of the whatever collapse or whatever happens within all these actions right here. And the fact that these two corner shooters are not really rim finishers like OG would. OG could just dunk it. So now you have Pascal and Miles Turner way out. They're not as afraid of these guys finishing at the rim. And without the threat of that rim finisher, they could occupy the spaces that Brunson likes to operate in a lot more. So they could stop that pull-up three coming off the pick, or just him getting anywhere in the perimeter on a stop-and-go midi. So just off ball, we continue to see Naismith just make things quite difficult for Brunson. As the physicality does take a toll throughout the course of the game, just for him to get the ball, as the physicality is taking a toll throughout the game because a lot of Brunson's shots end up being short. As we're going to see right here, even after this shot, look at all the touching that happens right here. I mean, Naismith just keeps on occupying Brunson's landing spot. I'm surprised they don't say anything. But even after his shot, Naismith is still brushing up against Brunson. So with Brunson having a rough start, we need more plays like this from Precious. Just him being in a spot to make a decision off of whether to hand this ball off or just keep it himself and take it right to the hole. Very similar to Draymond Green and Bam Adebayo. Simple plays like that on the strong side is the spark we need to get this offensive engine going. So with Hartenstein checking right back in, we see a nice little dribble handoff. Brunson coming off of that screen. And this is one of the few times we've seen Brunson dancing on Naismith right in his sweet spot. But again, notice where the screens are coming from. Brunson runs right into a dribble handoff. And screens from way up here allow Brunson to come downhill with a lot more spacing. Now Brunson right here, he picks on Tyrese Haliburton to try to get him on the switch, but Burks in a way, he's not that good of a screener. As we see Tyrese right here, he's fighting hard not to be on Brunson. Naismith is always going to try to recover. They do not want Haliburton on Brunson. And with all that attention from Naismith, it leaves Burks wide open for the shot. But when it comes to the guard-to-guard screens, as we see Burks hesitate a couple of times, I'm not really too keen on him. He's not that good of a screener at all, as he really fails to kind of get Haliburton on this switch to catch Naismith real good on that screen. So Tyrese Haliburton started off this matchup not hesitating about taking his shots. And also, let's keep in mind that most of Tyrese's points comes off in transition. As right here, he dishes out the pass, but his off-ball movement does not stop. Check him out. He's still going. Haliburton early on was real assertive, and that paid off because he's not really going to necessarily get the production out of his bench like in game 1 and 2. So again, real early on, you're going to see the Knicks have miscommunication right here, and Tyrese Haliburton takes full advantage. Look at Hartenstein. Complete miscommunication on the switches and leaves him wide open for the 3. With Precious Achiuwa inserted in the starting lineup, the guys are still working out the kinks. And with OG out, the different lineups that Thibs had to go to is right here. We see Jericho Sims inserted into the equation. Him and McBride right here have a miscommunication. For a second, it looked like Sims was going to hedge as McBride tried to force TJ McConnell to go down the middle. And you see right here, kind of a miscommunication. At first, it looked like he was hedging, but it was kind of a soft hedge. And this is going to allow TJ to get an open layup right here, but he just misses this. It's easy, but fortunate for the Knicks, he missed that. The Pacers weren't able to capitalize right there, but with OG out, the Knicks are going through the motions of just getting their rotations in sync. So right here is one of the rare few times we see Tyrese Haliburton matched up against Jalen Brunson one-on-one. And remember earlier in this series, I alluded to Tyrese not liking to dribble around tight spaces. His habits is normally to pick up the ball and to make a jump pass. And right here, you're going to see as to why, as his handles is really not that tight. So far in the first few games of this series, he has shown he is even uncomfortable to shake off Hartenstein way out all alone in the perimeter when coming off of some of these pick and rolls. And with Precious now getting more minutes, I expect the same situation to continue with him. So when Tyrese Haliburton sat out for the first 2 minutes of the second quarter, the Knicks were able to score 6 points on 66% shooting, while the Pacers only scored 2 points. And Alec Burks, he got hot. He came out of nowhere and finally did his thing. 13 points within that quarter. He was holding it down. But eventually when Brunson got subbed out, while Tyrese Haliburton checked right back in for that 3-minute time span, both teams went off in scoring. 12 points apiece. And eventually in the non-Brunson, non-Tyrese Haliburton minutes, the Knicks will gain the advantage 18-14. So in the second half, it was more of the same. We see right here, Brunson tries to get the switch on Haliburton. Of course, he's going to try to recover. But in that recovery, he gets the one-on-one. Look at Naismith's position on the inside part of his body. Brunson tries to shake him off. Man, they're letting a lot of contact slide, but it's typical. But once again, his shot is short. That's usually a sign of fatigue or just he really can't get any lift. So right here, we're going to see the difference between Hartenstein and Burks. Hartenstein sets a pin down screen, forces Naismith to be on him. It brings him down low too. So now Brunson can dance against Miles Turner. And as I alluded to earlier before, it's really about some of these guys, what they're going to do off of some of the attention that Jalen Brunson draws. As Donte DiVincenzo really cooks right here. Great finish. So right here, we're going to see Donte have a perfect opportunity to take advantage of Tyrese with the off-ball movements. Check out Donte on the back door. There's going to be a lot of offensive opportunities for Josh Hart, Donte DiVincenzo, and Miles McBride to exploit Tyrese Haliburton. So with Hartenstein forcing Naismith off of Brunson, we get him one-on-one with Pascal. And once again, take a look at his leg. The movements are just not the same. Look at that lift. It looks real awkward. Here's some more offensive opportunity. That's great screen by Hartenstein to get Naismith off of Brunson. And with the attention from Tyrese, now McBride has an opportunity to get a nice three. With all the injuries the Knicks are having, it is important to get those big bodies, to get a good pin down screen to get Naismith off of Brunson. And with the next man up mentality, we're going to need guys like Burks and McBride to do the same. This series is really shaping up to be a war of attrition. There goes Hartenstein again, setting that nice pin down, forcing Naismith down low. This is where the Knicks are going to find their offensive opportunities. This counter only applies when Naismith is on the floor harassing Brunson, but he tends to get in foul trouble. So the moment they don't play him, now they could exploit Nembhard and Haliburton. So again, looking at the possible counters, as we see Brunson on this screen doesn't quite catch Naismith. Doesn't quite get him right here. But there's an opportunity for Miles McBride. He could backdoor Tyrese as Jalen Brunson gets closer. See, now once he starts stepping back, it's already too late. McBride already should have made his cut. Once again, the pin down screen on Hartenstein is one combination. And right here, as soon as Brunson makes his way up here, his last momentum stepping forward up into this spot, that's when McBride should have backdoored Tyrese. You see how Tyrese's attention is on Brunson? Right here, you see? He should have made his cut already. As soon as he's looking away, make your cut. There's a passing lane right here where Brunson could have hit somebody making this backdoor cut. Despite all the injuries the Knicks have, there's still opportunities offensively outside of Jalen Brunson. As we see, Miles McBride tries to set a screen, possibly a pin down to force Naismith on him. But right here, Tyrese Haliburton is going to hedge this. So Brunson has no room to make the turn. And in reality, that's when McBride, in a way, should ghost this screen and go downhill. See, right here, he could have ghosted. Had he had a good feeling for Tyrese being on his back, he could have ghosted this screen right here, thus giving Brunson a lot of space to make this pass. It's probably going to be an overhead pass. Look at Tyrese. He hedges. And now both defenders are way too close to Brunson for him to have room to make a pass. Now McBride right here again tries to set a pin down screen, and it doesn't work. Brunson really hunting for Tyrese right here on the switch. But again, with the blitz right here from Naismith, fully commits now on the blitz. They get the ball out of Brunson's hands. But just looking at the beginning of the possession again, there's two counters. Ghost screen right here on the hedge from Tyrese. And the second counter is McBride setting a better screen. Try to pin him down to force Naismith off of him. That's the second counter. But the Knicks are fighting an uphill battle. They may not have enough bodies on the bench to set those type of screens. McBride and Burks might not have a large enough frame to execute this. And them doing this enough times throughout the game, trying to force Naismith to fight through all these screens, eventually you're going to tire him out by that fourth quarter. So as we continue on with Brunson's battle with Naismith, watch him set him up right here. Lovely. He's going to act like he's going to go right, but he's really going to reject the screen. The screen is coming from the right side. Nice rejection. And Brunson finally gets to his spot. One of the few times he looked springy, I should say. That leg looked good. But that right there is definitely Brunson in his bag. So here's a failed opportunity right here. One-on-one with Tyrese. And the Knicks end up turning it over. Well, I should say Brunson. Very rare turnover, but Brunson had 5 in the game. This was indeed a true uncharacteristic game from Brunson, as he looks at Josh Hart, but he's really looking off Donte. That's where the pass is going. And Tyrese, a person who lives off of doing stuff like this, he reads it perfectly. And they get the turnover. And the Pacers, they live off of this type of transitional points. Brunson once again one-on-one with Naismith. Peep Miles Turner, he's hedging. And as I stated before, Hartenstein, he has a good feel for these type of screens. He's going to ghost it. And at the same time, he's just going to touch him right in the back, just to kind of throw him off, just in case he thinks there's a switch coming. But Hartenstein ghosts this real early. But Brunson, feeling Naismith right on his neck, he draws this foul right here. He catches Naismith lacking, really. As Naismith all the time, he's hovering around that off arm, as you can see right here. And then Brunson just goes straight up. It's definitely a foul. But again, peep the technique from Hartenstein. He's always looking to see if he's going to throw that screen or if he's just going to tap the defender's backside and quickly ghost. He has a good feel for that. Because at this very moment, when it comes to Brunson, the Pacers usually hedge on those screens. Now, very tight game coming down the stretch, as we're going to see Alec Burks set this screen. And once again, he doesn't really have a good feel as Tyrese Haliburton is right on his back with this hedge. See, this should have been a ghost screen instantly. And going back to Hartenstein's technique, all he does is touch the backside of the defender and instantly roll. He doesn't even crouch down like this to set up the screen. If this was Hartenstein, he would have already been around here. So Brunson could have easily make that bounce pass. See what Tyrese hedging? And there's no advantage. There's no advantage coming off that screen. Now in the inverse, we're going to see Hartenstein actually pinned down with the bigger body, Naismith, and it's going to allow Brunson to cook. And he gets Brunson a good look right here. Very good look, but he just misses it. Plays like this right here makes you miss Bojan, because not only he has a bigger body, could have just utilized his pin down screen a lot better. As you see, McBride did not even affect Naismith getting back to Brunson. But had Bojan been in that position, not only he could have set a better screen, Naismith would have had to follow him because he's a greater threat from three. Right here draws no advantage coming off of this screen. Just have Brunson fighting as Naismith hits that out of bounds. So in this war of attrition, will the Knicks kind of find a counterpunch to not having enough big bodies to get the Pacers' toughest defender off of Brunson? Now with Thibodeau going with a 4-guard, 1 big lineup, you begin to see where the Pacers started taking advantage on the offensive glass, starting with Pascal. It's almost like Thibs is in between a rock and a hard place, trying to keep up with the scoring while at the same time dealing with the lack of size when getting defensive boards. So with Thibs trying to maintain the score right now, trying to keep guys on the floor that can contribute offensively, this is one of the penalties he's going to pay for. Josh Hart on Pascal. Hartenstein is the only big man out here. You got a real power forward along with a center. And Pascal makes him pay. So with Thibs going with a small ball lineup in order to have the Knicks just be able to keep up with the scoring at this point, we're going to see the conundrums that it creates on the mismatches. You got Hartenstein here on the closeout with dealing with Tyrese. And now Pascal has to deal with the smaller Brunson and McBride in the post. But right here, he just misses a clean look. But off of back-to-back possessions with Tyrese, he has yet another clean look in the paint. He just got Brunson and the smaller Josh Hart in there. He has really another clean look. Draws the foul though. So the Knicks finding themselves in a situation with all their injuries, just trying to keep up with the score, thus forcing them into a smaller ball lineup that draws not only a lot of mismatches, but it leaves them vulnerable on the defensive glass. The Pacers thus far have been really consistent on the way they substitute Tyrese Haliburton. It's usually within the last 2 minutes of the first, same thing for the third, and then the first 4 to 5 minutes of that quarter. As in the last 2 minutes of the third, with Jalen Brunson on the floor and Tyrese Haliburton out, the Knicks were able to have a 6-point swing, getting 8 points, so 75% shooting, while the Pacers only scored 2 points, struggling from the field, shooting about 25%. And in the fourth quarter, there was a 2-minute stretch where Jalen Brunson was off the floor and Tyrese was on, and the teams remained about even, the Pacers scoring 6 points while the Knicks only scored 5. So in the second half, once again, the Knicks maintained the advantage, 11 points to 8, while Brunson and Tyrese Haliburton were not on the floor. So once again, things came down to fourth quarter execution. As in the last 3 minutes, the Knicks were down by 1 with Deuce McBride getting an open look from 3 and just missed it. Then eventually the Knicks got the possession back with Josh Hart getting fouled, but he split the free throws. But had he made both, we would have went up by 1, but at that point the score was tied still. And then the Knicks were able to get a defensive stop, forcing the steal with Josh Hart attacking the rim, getting blocked by Miles Turner, which it wasn't called a goaltend, but it was very close. And then the Pacers were able to capitalize off the other end. Then Tyrese Haliburton accidentally fouled Jalen Brunson. But something that's been plaguing us all postseason is them damn free throws as Brunson split it. So the Knicks were still down by 1 at this point, 103 to 104. Okay, so with the Knicks down 4, we're taking a look at their lineup. Hartenstein is the only big man surrounded by 4 guards. As right here, Naismith gets an open look. He misses it. Josh Hart misses the offensive board. So now Tyrese Haliburton attacks the rim. He misses the shot, but on some Vlade Divac shit. What the fuck? Hartenstein tapped the ball. And at this point, you already know something is off with the vibes. Once you see a Vlade Divac type of tip, and if you understand NBA history, that is not a good thing. So right there, we missed the opportunity to grab the board. And the Pacers, for a third time, get an open look and just miss it as the Knicks finally corralled the rebound. So down 1 with 1 minute and 14 seconds left. So there's still plenty of breathing room for the Knicks to execute. So next time down, the Knicks with a chance to go up 1. The Pacers surprisingly leave him on an island with Nembhard, who he's been cooking all series long. And you couldn't draw it up any more perfect than that shot that he took. So again, just emphasizing on the fourth quarter execution. You know the Pacers love to run in transition. And right here, cannot blame the referees. This is a complete goaltend by Donte DiVincenzo. I don't know what he was thinking right there. But the Pacers are now up by 3. But still, there's plenty of time left to make things happen. But that was a big mistake right there. Cannot blame the referees. The Knicks at this point are a good basketball team. And good teams don't look for officials and calls to make games go their way. Leave that shit for the Pacers, the Pelicans, all the play-in teams like the Lakers. The Knicks at this point in their timeline are a good enough team to execute down the stretch in these fourth quarters. And part of that fourth quarter execution is having a floor general in Jalen Brunson, who has made his star pretty much undeniable this postseason. So Tyrese Haliburton, the next possession down, tries to take advantage of Hartenstein's drop back coverage by straight up pulling up. And he misses. But once again, the Knicks in that small ball lineup that Thibs has out there. And that is no fault of his own. He has no choice just to make sure the Knicks at least keep up with this up-tempo pace, high-octane offense with the Indiana Pacers. He's going to have to do that. And this is the other side of the coin right here, not being able to grab some of these boards. As Naismith tips it right back out. Off the rebound, we're going to see Deuce slowly blitz. And as he blitzes, Brunson picks up on Nembhard. And the rest is history. Now with 16 seconds left to go, plenty of time. As we see Brunson a little bit caught up. But still 15 seconds left to go. And this is probably going to end up being a learning lesson for Brunson, is not to rely on the whistles of the officials, especially at the end of these games. It's not a guarantee that they was going to call a foul on that. But he tried to draw up 3 free throws to tie this game. But an over-reliance on officials is not what winning teams do. But just looking back is way more than just beyond this play right here. We got to look back when Josh Hart missed the free throws to go up by 1. The goaltend by Donte DiVincenzo that actually put him up by 3. And also Brunson splitting the free throws, which left the Knicks down by 1. All these things happened under 2 minutes. So instead of being 3-0, now it's a 2-1 swing. And this was definitely a missed opportunity. I'd even mention the 3 offensive rebounds they gave up in the last minute. And that's where Tom Thibodeau is stuck between a rock and a hard place with playing 4 guards with 1 center. There's definitely a hesitation on Thibs' part to play Precious in the fourth quarter. He had a boneheaded turnover in that first quarter, but he was killing it on the glass in the second chance effort. The Knicks could have really used some of that in the fourth, but Thibs has his instincts. When it comes to this series, the longer it goes, it's going to be more difficult for the Knicks, especially if OG doesn't return to the lineup. The Pacers' up-tempo style of play, mixed in with the Knicks having multiple starters play over 40 minutes with 1 day rest in between all these games, eventually is going to start taking a toll. But we'll see how it plays out. Everything kind of went the Pacers' way in this fourth quarter, and they barely gutted out a win. But until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.